few years ago, somebody said it was like 7 seconds or less when somebody lands on a homepage, they decide whether or not they are going to click off. And to be honest, that study or whatever probably needs to be redone since the era of TikTok and Reels and stories, because it's probably much, much less.
What does the interplay look like for you when you are thinking about having a really good hook that draws people in right away, grabs their attention, that is also searchable?
One of my favorite things to do is to take inspiration from industries outside of the industry that I am designing for. Because again, if you're a coach and you're looking at other coaches' websites, you're subconsciously going to create a website that looks like all the coaches' websites.
What are the things that you think are really important to have like ready or prepared when you embark on the journey of getting a new website?
Why would a website fail? You're basically taking everything that would happen in an in-person conversation and you're translating it onto an online version.
Yes.
Am I understanding that right? Welcome back to the Sustainable Creator Podcast. Today we are talking about websites. And if you couldn't tell from the title already, we are actually kicking off a 5-part series. Today is the first in the series all about websites, because this is a topic that has been coming up quite a bit lately between both our members inside of our coaching membership as well as our coaching clients. So we're having a lot of conversations just revolving around websites. And we figured, why not turn it into a series that helps any of you who are listening who are in the same boat? So to kick things off, we wanted to bring one of our members, Macey, onto the podcast, who is a web and brand designer. She's been in the industry since 2018. She has a lot of experience. And as you will hear today, she has a lot of expertise around the anatomy of a good website. Welcome to the show, Macey. We're really excited that you are here and to learn all about websites from you.
Thank you. I am super excited, and hopefully I can help somebody make a website seem less overwhelming, because I know it is definitely a really overwhelming process, but if you break it down, it can be a bit easier and be something that really helps your business.
Agreed.
So before we get into how to build a website, since you've been running your business since 2018, how many times have you rebuilt your own website?
Ooh, that is such a good question. I would definitely say in the first couple of years, it was maybe 2 or 3 times because things were changing and shifting. But honestly, 2 times in the last 6 years.
Yeah.
Ooh, and I know exactly what my clients want. I know what they need. And I just feel very confident in what I am presenting. And so I haven't needed to update it.
That's incredible. Well, I think that says a lot about just your own process, which I think would be a great place to start, because you have a very specific process to how you approach building websites. And just from talking with you before hitting record, we have the inside scoop. So I would love for you to be able to share, what does your overall process look like when you start building a website with someone? What are the stages you go through?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, a website is almost like the final piece when you start to build your online presence. Because if you're brand new to building a business, you've got to get, the business idea, the services laid out, the logo, the colors, all of that. And so when you're starting a website, you also need to make sure that you have brand photography, and you have to know what you're going to say. And so after building hundreds of websites at this point, I've dialed down a step-by-step process that helps my clients walk through in a way that makes sense and makes the whole process a little bit more efficient and easier. And so I think through websites almost always in this order, which is number 1 is strategy. Who are we talking to? What problem are they trying to solve? What action do we want them to take? And so when somebody comes to your website, what do you want them to do? You don't want them to just learn about you and then click away. You want them to book a consultation call with you, or you want them to purchase a product, or maybe you just want them to follow or subscribe to your YouTube channel. That action that you want them to take is going to be really, really important, because that influences everything from copy to design. Without that, the design doesn't matter. If you're throwing stuff up, you're going to find that you're going to have to change it multiple times, because it's not going to match. The results are not going to match that.
When you think about strategy, is this like a document that you think people should just like brain dump all their thoughts into? Like if they're thinking about building their own website, how do you actually like capture strategy?
Yeah, that's good. So I have a questionnaire that I have all of my clients go through. And I would definitely say, if you can answer those first three questions that I had mentioned, which is one, who am I talking to? What problem am I trying to solve? And what action do I want them to take? That will help use that as like the top header of everything else. Brain dump it and always refer back to those questions to make sure that every answer or every single action that you take when you build your website is relevant to those questions.
Okay, that's really good. I love that you start with strategy. What's number two?
Number two is messaging. And so can someone understand what you do in under 10 seconds or less? I think a few years ago, somebody said it was like 7 seconds or less when somebody lands on a homepage, they decide whether or not they are going to click off. And to be honest, that study or whatever probably needs to be redone since the era of TikTok and Reels and stories, because it's probably much, much less. We talk about hooks within Instagram Reels and building content, and you have to think of your website as that hook. And there's a lot of things that you have to accomplish within that. And so making sure that your messaging is really dialed in is super important. And one of my favorite ways to test this is to have somebody outside your industry come and visit your website. With almost every single website that I've built, and I've built all kinds of websites. Recently did one for a construction company, an interior designer, coach, a course creator. I have my husband look at it because he is a car guy through and through, but he has a critical eye and he also has a little bit of a cynical thought. And so having him take a look at a website where he has no idea what's going on, who this is, and if he understands it, then I know we have a winner. And so I think it happens to me. It happens to probably you guys where we are so in our business and in our website, the lingo that we are saying, even the colors, the pictures they're all the same. And so just making sure that somebody can understand that messaging from outside will, if they can understand it, then your ideal clients or potential clients will understand it.
In this stage of like planning out, you've done strategy, messaging, this isn't like writing all of the copy for your website at this point, is it? Like this is understanding components?
This is definitely a lot of copy, and it's what your overall messaging. So what are you talking about when you are on social media, to when you're on your website, to your contact form, to your calls? Like this is your brand voice.
I love that. We talk about market research a lot with our clients. And one of the reasons that we recommend it to them is not only to verify the offer that you're building or the thing that you are adjusting in your business, but it's also to learn the language that your clients are speaking. Because in those conversations, you will hear key phrases and certain words that will pop up over and over again. And that fits straight into the messaging that you use. I have a curious question just before we move on to step 3, because when we're talking about messaging, I know SEO is also a big thing. And so what does the interplay look like for you when you are thinking about having a really good hook that draws people in right away, grabs their attention, that is also searchable?
It's almost up there. Like the keywords, especially now with AI and SEO, it is huge thinking about your brand and keywords. And so if you are a photographer, having, even that very first sentence on your website, I call it the hero section. It's where somebody first lands. It's that first impression. And it's also super important for SEO to have keywords. And so if you're a photographer, for example, just saying you're a photographer isn't going to do anything for you when it comes to AI or search engine optimization. And search engine optimization is a wonderful thing because that's free, almost free marketing. It takes a long time. It is the long game, but Google will start to refer your website to others if they see that it provides value to people. And so, and if there are visitors and if they are staying on it for a long period of time. And so you want to help Google, and you also want to help your website visitors to kind of place themselves. If they land on your website and they see you're just a photographer, understanding that you're a photographer local to Orlando, and that you are a family photographer helps them understand who you are and what they provide. Because if they don't have a family, they know that you're probably not the right provider for them. But if they do have a family and they have a baby coming up in a couple of months, they're going to bookmark you or reach out to see if they can schedule a newborn session.
Right. Okay, that's so good. Thank you. I wanted that clarification because I know both are like such big topics. And just to plug another episode in this series for you guys listening, we're going to have a dedicated episode on copy with one of our other members, Priscilla of Convoke Creative. So just know that is also coming. If you're sitting there going, I got to figure out my messaging. Like, don't worry. We're planning ahead for you. We got you. Okay, so you start with strategy, then you move into messaging. What is the third step after that?
The third step is user experience. And so user experience, you might see that word a lot. It's a bit of a buzzword, I definitely think, in my industry. But user experience is really what happens when somebody lands on your website. Like what are they going to do? And so you want to make that user experience as easy and clear as possible for that person. And so number one is there a logical path for somebody to land on your website? Okay, so if they land on the homepage, or if they land even on a blog post that you posted a few months ago, what do you want them to take? What action do you want them to take next? Number two, that also happens a lot of, just not errors, but things that are opportunities, is the navigation within your website. Do you have more than 5 different menu items at the very top of your header? Making sure that it's really clean and easy to read and simple is important. And simple is better because sometimes we get cute and we want to say my journal for blog. And a lot of times people are looking for blog. And so they might miss that, and you've lost that opportunity for somebody who's looking for a blog who doesn't know that you called it something else. And so keeping it really clean, home, about, our team, services, and then schedule a consultation or contact for that call to action is super important. And then number 3, I would say under that user experience is, are there any unnecessary decisions? Do you have too many call to actions going on? Because we do want to just have one action that we want that website visitor to take. And most of the time, 90% of the time, it is scheduling a consultation. And so we want to make that as friction-free as possible. And then lastly, I would say is site speed. Does your website load up in 3 seconds or less? And I will tell you, so many times I've tried to visit a restaurant, or I've tried to look up somebody on my phone with no Wi-Fi, and their website doesn't load. And what do? I exit out of it. Website speed is very, very important. And one thing that you can do right off the bat to make it faster is to compress your images. A lot of times we'll take images directly from a photographer and throw them in, and that takes a lot of time for the website to load. And so if you want to see if you can fix your website speed within, 10 minutes or less, try and compress your images right now, because that site speed is going to be something that's really important.
Are there any tools that you recommend using for specifically compressing those images, or is there certain dimensions or file size that people should be keeping in mind when they compress those photos?
Yes. So it depends on what platform that you are on, but almost always I have a Mac, and so I just go ahead and I resize that image. If it is like 4,000 pixels wide, for a landscape image, or 2,500 pixels wide for a vertical image, then I will bump both of those down to 2,000 pixels wide, or maybe 1,600 pixels wide for the vertical. And that usually gets them to a good size. As well, there's also, you do have to convert images to PNG and JPEGs. They're harder for Google to read, and they're harder to load up. And so there's the web images that you need to have. But again, that's something, if you have WordPress, I usually have a plugin like WP Rocket or Imagify. And then if you have Squarespace or Showit, they usually automatically do that for you.
Good to know.
one of the first things that you said on user experience was a path.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's the next thing you want people to do? Do you think about this like before you even build any of the like pages of like, I want someone to go from this section of home to the team page or the about page,
Mm-hmm.
and like, so map out like what are your like buttons or call to actions before you build anything? Is that how you go about it?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Every single page that I build, there is a logical next step of that page that I want them to take. And so usually, for a brand new website or somebody who, just needs a basic one, somebody lands on the homepage, they are either going to book a consultation with you or they want to learn more about you. And so I want to make the next step from the homepage to be book a consultation. But as you scroll down, if they're still wanting to learn about you, sending them to your about page, I think is very important so that they can start to know, like, and trust you. That's where that credibility piece comes in. And so that about page is where they're going to find out who you are, what your background is, maybe some personal details about you. And then after the about page, they usually go to the services page. And that's where, okay, can they provide the solution? I like them. I know them. They seem credible enough. Can they then provide the solution that I need? And that's, questions they might have are what's the price point? What is the time frame? How long do you take to book? What's included in the package? Those are all questions that you need to answer within that services page. And then from the services page, it's very much book a consultation or contact me or even, purchase, this course or product.
For a lot of service providers, they're a little bit multi-passionate or they have different offers or multiple service pages. How do you think about that flow if there's like multiple services that they're trying to sell on the same website?
That is really hard. And I would try and narrow it down to 1 to 3 services if you can. Now, this also, is different because if it's like a med spa, they have like all different types of things from, Botox to facials and stuff like that. But if you are a multi-hyphenate entrepreneur, that is more about positioning your website as a brand and almost as a portfolio of who you are. And I would go back up to the menu at the top. And so how are you going to organize those services in a way so that when somebody lands on your website, no matter what page they are on, the home page, the about page, they can see services, and maybe it's a drop down menu where it has those 3 different pages where those services are split out. And then that way you can give each service or each part of you, the page and the time and the dedication that it needs in order to give the people information that they want based on that service.
That's so good. I love hearing you talk about this because there's so many things that I'm learning here, right? Like a lot of this is new to me, where people go from one page to the next, why it's important to spend a certain amount of time on one section of your website over the other. The just a wealth of knowledge that you have on this shows, and I find it really, really interesting. And I think what is really fascinating to me is that you start with strategy, messaging, and user experience before you ever get into design. Which is the 4th step, the design?
Yes.
Okay.
Number 4 is design.
Do you want to just like briefly share why your approach includes those first 3 things before starting with design, and then we can get into the 4th step?
Because every single answer that you've mentioned or that you've outlined in, strategy, messaging, and user experience is then answered within the visual design. And so visual design is brand, it's trust, it's professionalism, it's emotional connection. And so depending on, what industry you're in and what service that you provide, your photography and the style of that photography is going to be super important. Depending on what action that you want your client to take, the color of the buttons that you choose are going to be important. And so a lot of this, is outlined during brand strategy. And if you get a brand professionally done, or if you're doing it yourself, making sure that you have, the strategy background, the messaging, the user experience, because for example, I have a documentary photographer client, and she established herself as a black and white documentary photography for families in different generations. And so we decided to go all black and white for her because that is what her photography is. It's black and white, and it's, very different from a lot of the airy photographers that are in our area. And so for her buttons, it was, a little tricky because the website is a very moody, emotive website that we chose because we wanted her photos to pop. And then the color of the buttons are a really nice cream color so that they still pop on that black background. But a lot of times people start with colors and they start with fonts and they pick what they like, but it's not necessarily what's aligned with their clientele or what their clients are looking for. Or if you are a solopreneur, they change it a lot. And then you start to lose some of that brand credibility, that brand memory, because if you're always changing your colors and fonts, then people are noticing that. And it seems more flaky, and it doesn't seem as consistent and professional.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for psychology. And so I find this very fascinating because starting with everything you just mentioned means that you're able to be far more intentional with what you want to be known for and how you want your brand to be positioned visually. So let's get into the visual piece of it. What does that fourth step look like for you?
So that fourth step is taking all of the photography that we have. A lot of times there are some really great templates online. So if you are DIYing this, then you have that. Or if you're hiring a website designer, picking somebody who is aligned with your style. But one of my favorite things to do is to take inspiration from industries outside of the industry that I am designing for. Because again, if you're a coach and you're looking at other coaches' websites, you're subconsciously going to create a website that looks like all the coaches' websites. And in order to place who you are uniquely and showcase that this is how I am different from this coach, you can't copy their layout and their style and their colors. And so I like to look at, just unique inspiration. My brother and sister-in-law, we are opening up a luxury gym in downtown Orlando. And instead of looking at gym websites like Crunch or LA Fitness, we are looking at spas, spa websites.
I love
we want the experience to be different. And so if you are a coach, I would encourage you to look at websites outside of your niche, outside of your industry for maybe, you can look at West Elm, you can look at furniture stores, you can look at interior designers and see, where you can take inspiration outside of, things online, but also things in person as well. Getting outside, if nature is something that is really important to you, how can you incorporate some elements of nature into your brand? Or if you really love cool coffee shops, maybe you can get some photos done in a super cool coffee shop. I had a client who's a coach for interior designers. And instead of doing brand photo shoot in a studio, I told her to go to a hotel lobby or a really eclectic boutique hotel, because her clients are interior designers and they are looking for people who understand design and having photos that are, in areas that their interior designers are already walking in, are already familiar in, helps build that trust for that interior design coach who's going to show the interior designers, this is how you build a business.
That's so good.
I think it's interesting, like throughout all of these sections, you've given examples of like having branding photos are really important for this. I think that's one component of things that is part of preparing for doing a website. What are the other things that you think are really important to have like ready or prepared when you embark on the journey of getting a new website?
I would definitely look into brand design. If you are going to invest in a website, which could be a few $1,000s, it is a big investment. I would look at hiring a brand designer. A lot of times, I do that for my clients. It's one whole experience so that everything is really consistent and cohesive. But having somebody to work through the actual logo design, the colors, is going to help you make sure that everything is consistent from your social media to the website to how your emails look to the business cards. That cohesion is super important. And so brand design is important. Photography is really good. Oh, I don't think I have wasted one photo shoot brand session. And those are also a big investment as well. I know, and a lot of times we want to just get away with camera or iPhone camera or having our aunt take pictures of us. And that's just not going to cut it today. I think, people are looking to connect with other people, and the best way that you can do that is having authentic photos of you. And so, and the best websites always have photos that are high quality and really showcase the client's personality and expertise. And so, a photo shoot is a great second investment. And then that third investment is a copywriter, or really making sure that you take the time to understand the kind of copy that you want to write. But a copywriter is a great investment because they are already going to think about keywords, SEO, flow for you. And so a copywriter is fantastic. And so before I even design a website, I do have those three pieces already lined up so that when you go to design the website, it is a really smooth, efficient process, and you're not answering all these questions while you're in the middle of the about page.
Right.
If I think about like the process that you walked through, am I correct in understanding that it would be good to do the strategy portion before you do like a photo shoot or any of that, so that you get some of those components in? So it's not like fully like I'll do the photo shoot in Q1 and I'll think about my brand in Q3 or something like that. It's kind of a combined process.
Yeah, almost all of my clients, a part of the process that I do with them if they hire me for brand design is I incorporate a strategy or a strategy for their photo shoot. And so I pull together mood board, I pull together the color palette, and we usually time it so we'll do the brand strategy session, and then they usually schedule that photo shoot right after that session because they know what their colors are. They have the photo shoot. I have a shot list for them. And then that way we make sure that their photo shoot is the best investment for them because there's enough photos for their website. There's enough photos for their social media, and then any kind of other collateral that they need.
Yeah. It's so interesting. I'm seeing so many people right now invest in branding photography and brand copywriting and new branding and websites. And I was talking about this with our designer yesterday. I brought this up and I was like, it's fascinating to me because it's very reminiscent of a few years ago. I saw this happen as well, but it's been a minute. And now I see it everywhere. And she made the comment, well, it's because AI has become such a big thing. People want to stand out and they want their voice to be known and what makes you unique and what you want to be known for to be front and center, which I just find really fascinating, which is part of why this conversation is so timely for anyone who is in that boat, thinking about what do I need so that I do stand out. And it may not necessarily even be about AI. Like there's also a lot of talk around founders and things like that. And so it's also the buzzwords that are happening right now. You know, how do you make your brand so uniquely positioned that it's you to your core and like what you want to stand for, and it also stands out so that people are very clear on what you offer and like whether they're a good fit, and ideally it leads to long-term client relationships as well. So I am curious though, on the flip side, if we think about, because those are some things that make a website successful, is what I would presume. But if we think about the flip side, why would a website fail?
It's not clear enough, or it's confusing. Confused people don't convert. If somebody lands on your website and they don't know what you do, you're not going to be able to provide any value for them. And so I think it's important to view your website as an opportunity to serve your customers and your potential clients in order to make their experience easier, because it's usually the first thing that they do when they enter a relationship with you. They visit your website, they get to know you, and then they schedule a consultation with you. And so I think it's an act of service to have a website that answers all of their questions, that is professional, that tells your clients about the experience that you provide. That is so important so that when they come, and by the time that, you're on a call with them or you're, working with them, that experience has matched and it is consistent, and that's brand building.
Off the top of your head, do you have an example of what is confusing versus clear?
Having too many call to actions, or if you maybe have too many services going on, a lot of times people are like, oh, what do I purchase? Where do I go?
Mhm.
And so sometimes having a start here page, if you do have a lot of things going on, is great so that you can tell your story in a way that, in a flow that makes sense to somebody who is brand new.
What is your opinion on, I know some people recommend that if you do have other services, for instance, like with our coaching clients, we'll recommend you can have back pocket or secret menu offers, right? So these are things that happen behind the scenes, but you're not publicly offering. What is your thought as a web designer on still having a landing page for those offers, but it's more of a hidden page, so it's not front facing on the website?
Totally okay. Yeah. I
Cool.
mean, it
I
might,
love that.
you're not, if it's just a secret offering, then you have to consider, are you wanting this to come up within Google search? And if you do, great. But if you don't, then you might want to like have it be not indexed so Google doesn't find it. But yeah, you can have hidden pages. I have, welcome pages for my clients that are in there. So
Interesting.
yeah.
That's cool.
I think that this is like an interesting question, like on this, like pages specifically. When people are building a new website, the question is, how many pages do I need? And I know it's a hot button question for a lot of people, but do you see like a bare minimum number of pages if you're just starting out?
No, you can have one page and do great. And so I was telling you recently, my brother and sister-in-law are opening a luxury gym in downtown Orlando. And one of the first things that we did when we started the process and when this lease was signed was we put up a homepage in October of 2025. And we did that. It had all the information that we need, but it most importantly had a waitlist sign up. And so our goal for that was to get waitlist signups. And so as construction was going in the space, we had a QR code so that somebody could go and they can find out information about the space. We had mock-up photos, renderings of the space. We had the services that we were going to provide, which was a gym membership, infrared sauna, cold plunge therapy, PMF mat, and personal training. And so that's a lot of services for one spot. And so we had the landing page as well as the pricing and information. And that was it. It was maybe 6 sections. And that was there for about a few months while we were getting closer to the construction. It's July 2026. And so we're very close to opening. But as we have figured more things out within the business and got closer to opening, we've slowly started adding service pages. And so red light therapy, cold plunge, PMF mat all have their own pages so that somebody can go on and learn about that service. Because it's kind of new, there's a little bit of skepticism and there's some education that can be done about the recovery elements of these different services. And so that's why having a page was really helpful for those potential people who are going to sign up on that wait list so that they could learn about that. But then also we are thinking about Google. This is a physical location. And so we have built those pages with search in mind and adding in those keywords for Orlando, red light sauna therapy, personal training. And we did that as soon as possible so that by the time that we open, our Google ranking is pretty decent and that people are already starting to find us. And so we just started with one page, which is great because that shows the longer that you have that domain out there, the longer Google will see that as valuable versus a domain that was just launched last year. And so as soon as you get, your business name, as soon as you get that trademark, you want to secure that domain as fast as possible. And putting up a very simple landing page is helpful. Now, if you don't eventually add information to that, it could eventually bite you because Google now sees this as something that nothing's happening. Google's number one priority is to serve Google's clients. And so that your number one priority needs to be to serve your clients. So yeah, so I would definitely, if I was going to start with a website, a one pager is great. Or if you want to add some more pages, having a home page, an about page, a service page, and a contact page is important. And a lot of times people throw up a contact page with a form and then call it done. I would put a little bit more effort on your contact page. I would add an FAQ section to your contact page. I would add hours. I would add a picture of you. I would add a video of you on that contact page because, again, people are coming to your contact page, and if they see just a form, they're going to be like, what am I doing? What's going to happen after this? And so you want to make that experience as frictionless as possible. And so having even a video or a little introduction from you, FAQs, what happens next is going to help reduce that, so that when somebody puts in their information, gives you their valuable email address and phone number for you to contact them, they know that they aren't going to get scammed.
As you're talking, I thought about, you're basically taking everything that would happen in an in-person conversation and you're translating it onto an online version.
Yes.
Am I understanding that right?
Absolutely. And that's how you want to view it as, because if you are a very bubbly person and you meet this person and you give them their card and then it's, 9 p.m. and they're looking at your website and your website doesn't match you, there's a little bit like, what is this? And so I definitely think infusing your personality into your website is not a bad thing when it matches the kind of experience that you're providing. But having that be consistent so that every point from when they comment on a post on Instagram to message you in the DMs to contact you, everything is how it would be if you were in person. It's authentic.
So when you talk about like putting intentional thought into contact pages, do you view all pages as equal on your website? Or are there some pages that are more important than others?
I definitely say homepage is the most important. It is the one that people are going to land on the most and is probably the one that's going to get the most amount of cold visitors. So people who are just coming to you, who have no idea what you're doing, or maybe they saw you on TikTok or Instagram and now they're coming and they're like, what's up? Who's this person? Like, tell me about you. What do you do? I try and be as much as a skeptic as possible when I'm designing a website so that I can help alleviate any of that skepticism when somebody lands, so that it is as professional and trustworthy and clear as possible. So a homepage is a really great place to start.
So when you yourself use the example earlier, like if you're looking at a restaurant or something, you don't have service, you pull it up on your phone. What are the few things that you think about when you first land on someone else's website? Like, what are you paying attention to?
Oh, man. I am, it better load fast or else I'm exiting out. It better have a good mobile design. Because I tell you, you need to go to Google Analytics, or you need to have some kind of analytics on your website, and you need to see what the percentages of people are on your phone. I have somebody that has who sells mainly on Instagram, and we actually designed every single sales page of hers mobile first, because her clients 90% of the time are on mobile. I didn't touch the desktop design until the mobile was perfect. That is how honed in we were. And so a lot of times you put up the desktop version of your website, you don't even think about mobile. And so when I personally go as a website designer to a service that I'm looking to purchase, because I am needy, and I'm like, a lot of times I'm like, I want to give you my money. If I'm looking you up, if I want to go, I want to get my nails done, or I want to go to your restaurant, I am ready to spend money. And so any kind of friction that you have where the website doesn't load fast enough, or, oh goodness, if there is a stock photo on that website, I am off. And then if the buttons aren't working, the links aren't working, I am off. I have pretty high standards for the service. But yes, most of the things that I purchase as a website designer, if I'm hiring somebody, their website is up to my standards.
It makes sense though, because your website is basically your online storefront, right? That's exactly what you would do in real life if you were walking down a really cute downtown, window shopping. The places I'm going to go into are the ones that have a really good window setup that pique my interest just enough to walk inside and browse around. And that's what your website is doing too. One thing that you talk a lot about is the importance of designing for scannability. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah. So we are humans. and we are distracted. And again, when you're designing a website, you are doing it probably at your house or in your office in air conditioning, and your sole focus is this. But nobody actually is paying attention as bad as it is. People do not read linearly. They skim. They are distracted. They are on the phone. They're probably holding a coffee as they're standing in line somewhere. So they're looking up, down, up, down. And so I would encourage to design for real humans, not for ideal users. And your website is a part of that customer experience. It's not just, it's not just your marketing. It's not just an online brochure. And so when you have pull quotes that are, just the most important pieces that you want people to highlight, or you have a bulleted list of what is included in your service so that it is scannable and people can quickly understand, what am I getting when I purchase your service? That creates more clarity, and so people aren't as confused, and when they kind of come back and forth, and I want you, next time when you have a website open and you're reading it, see the pattern that you scan and you read it, because it is in a F pattern. And so there's the headline, scan, a little pull quote, scan, and that's the F. And so on almost every single, we have this thing called Hotjar. It's a plugin where I can see where people are going onto websites. You will see that your website, that is where the cursor has gone. It's in this F pattern. And so it's important to not have big word walls, to not be wordy, because a lot of times people aren't going to read it.
Right. No, I love learning from you, Macey. Honestly, the strategy and I've never heard anyone share about the F design, but I can immediately picture it in my head. And if I'm thinking about myself as a consumer, when I go to websites, I'm paying attention to the headers. And if there is a header that grabs my attention, then I want to read the body text underneath, right? But I need those short snippets that give me the cliff notes, if you will.
Yeah, we're so human and we're so distracted. And I've actually started a lot with my testimonials. I will get, a good sized paragraph testimonial from clients. I will take just a pull quote from that, and I will just put, a few ellipses to show that it's, a part of a bigger testimonial. But a lot of times I'm just putting those, 5 to 7 word snippets of that testimonial on the page, and then having a more case studies page or an actual testimonials page for the longer testimonials, because again, people aren't even reading testimonials. We are so distracted.
So if I think about one of the things we talked about earlier is a lot of people in this day and age are thinking about vibe coding their websites, which is creating a wall of terrible websites. But if you look at copy behavior, AI loves to do bolded text or italicized or the M dashes as a way of breaking up walls of text. As a designer, how do you feel about some of those eye-catching ways of getting people to stop in a paragraph?
I do it all the time. I hate that ChatGPT has stolen M dashes from me because now you put an M dash on and it's now viewed as, what is this? Oh, is this chat? And I was actually in the break room in one of the mastermind calls that somebody said, I like it when there is a typo on a website because I know it wasn't written by chat. And so I definitely think ChatGPT is a great tool for strategizing and organizing thoughts and grammar. I throw some things in there to fix typos as well. But when you have a website that reads as ChatGPT, that can be a turnoff. Because number one, there is it looks exactly the same or sounds the same. And that's never good. It is faster. It is more efficient to, have something that feels more like ChatGPT, but it's not going to help you in the long run because it's not going to give your clients an accurate picture of who you are. But when it comes to design, bolding, italicizing, having different, sizes for different pull quotes, headlines, subtitles, use them all.
I'm here for it.
So as we're starting to kind of wrap up here, as someone that has listened through all of this and they are now fully convinced that they need a new website, what are the types of questions that you think they should be asking if they're considering hiring a web designer?
Ooh, definitely a good question. I would definitely ask the website designer what their process is. How do they start? Is it a custom website, or are they taking a template and turning it into you? And I would be asking your website designer what happens after the website is launched, because a lot of times, we see a website as a one-time purchase, and it's not. A website should evolve with your business as you evolve. And so you should be seeing your website as something that you are going to consistently invest in, whether that's blogging or updating, adding testimonials, auditing it every couple of months to make sure that links are broken. And so as a website designer, I would look at them and see, okay, are they a good partner for me? Are they going to support me in the long run with my business? And then as well, just making sure that they are detail oriented. Website designers were creatives. And so I would really look for hiring somebody who is going to honor what they say and provide things that are deadline focused. Giving you deadlines as well, I think, is important, because it is such a big process and project. It can span a lot of times, and that's okay. Life happens, but making sure that somebody has a step-by-step process and is going to provide you the guidelines of what they need in order to create the website is really helpful. And just knowing that you can trust them as they walk you through this process.
Those are some great questions. Obviously, there's lots of great options out there. Just from listening to you talk for the past 45 minutes, I know there are definitely people listening who are like, I just want Macey to do it for me. So for any of those people who are in that boat, where can they connect with you before we get into lightning rounds? Can you just quickly share where they can learn more about your services?
Definitely. I would go to my website, and that is bebolddesignstudio.com. And then I am also on Instagram under my own name, Macey_Miller.
Amazing. Okay, well, that brings us to lightning rounds. We love to end our podcast conversations with just a few rapid fire questions to get to know you more as a person, and just have fun with it and end on a fun note. So the first question is, because we're very big bookworms and we love hearing what other people are reading, what is a book that you are currently reading?
The Screw Tape Letters.
Oh, really?
Just a light read.
Are you enjoying it?
Yes, it is changing my life. It is rewiring my brain. It is written by C.S. Lewis, and it is a very, very good book. I am a Christian, and it has just enriched my life so much.
Yeah. Every time someone brings up, C.S. Lewis is just such a great writer, but every time someone brings up that book in particular, it comes with a glowing recommendation.
Yes.
So I love that.
I think we might actually own it.
Oh, do we? Might have to hunt around on the bookshelf.
Question number
you
2.
have to settle in and read. It took me a minute because it was written in the 1940s.
Sure.
Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's also like an interesting writing style, isn't it? Like just a collection of letters.
It's a collection of letters written by C.S. Lewis, and he is pretending to be a devil's apprentice and showing people how the real world is then like molded and shaped and pulled away further from God. So
fascinating.
And I will say the things that were happening in 1940 sounds like it's happening today. So it's very relevant.
Very fascinating.
So the next question, what does a typical day in your life look like?
Okay, well, I am a mom of 2, so my day starts at 6 a.m. With a cup of coffee and a book and silence. And then
that's key.
And then I get the kids up and I take them to daycare. Well, they're going to be starting at a private school in the fall. And then I go to my office. And so I have an office in downtown Orlando that I got after my first daughter was born. I work. I try and fit in a workout in the afternoon after work as like a good separator from work time, me time. And then I go pick up the kids and we try and get some outside time, go on walks, make dinner, and read a lot of bedtime stories.
Love it.
Love it. I love love the good separation of like home and work.
Yeah.
It makes a big difference for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
We're in a time period where everyone talks about AI, but one of the questions we like to put here in Lightning Round, is there a way that you're actually using AI that is helpful?
Yes, I use it to troubleshoot coding and DNS issues. So I
sounds
know
like a
that's
great
not
use.
applicable for if you're not a website designer, but it is great if I want to create a fun little animation for a client on a website, or if I have any issues with my connecting a website. It is really, really good for troubleshooting.
I think where
I also had
Go
it recommend my coffee maker, my next coffee maker.
Here for it.
I think where this does extend to non-web designers is I found it's really good at just help doc in general, because AI has been trained on the internet and everybody's help docs are on the internet. So like if you want personal to you advice, AI is fantastic of like, give me a step-by-step like I'm a fifth grader.
Yes.
Is there anybody that you are learning from right now?
You guys.
Oh.
The Sustainable Creator podcast, and then the Break Room Mastermind calls have been so informative and so helpful. Shameless
so
plug
glad.
for the Break Room.
No, we love it. It's such a great space. We're glad you're enjoying it. All right, last question. I'll let you ask this one.
We like to wrap up and leave space. Do you have any questions for us?
Yeah. How are your website analytics? What is your most
Have you
visited
checked
website
lately?
page?
Ooh, I have not looked recently. In like Q1, I went down a rabbit hole of like, I had Microsoft Clarity just open in a tab on my computer, and every couple days I would look and see like how people are like scrolling through our website, and I realized I needed to step away from it because I was like, I'm just watching people like live session our website, and this is just wasting my time. So I haven't looked in a bit. But definitely like homepage is by far the thing that was getting the most like viewers. And then I think after that was actually one of our blog pages, which then sometimes would transition over to our break room sales page.
Perfect. Yeah. And then where do they go after that? Like how many people are coming to the contact page?
Well, that's an interesting question. And I think part of why it's not many is because on both our membership sales page as well as the coaching page, we have buttons for them to either schedule a consult call or, go to apply or check out. So it kind of takes out the contact because it's already on those pages.
Yeah, it was a conversion on the sales
I'm
page.
guessing it plays into it.
Yeah. That's so good.
Yeah. Okay. So this has been incredible. Thank you so much for just sharing so much of your knowledge. I mean, you really, truly went above and beyond in this conversation. So for anyone listening, like Macey mentioned, please go check out her work if you are interested in working with her, or if you want to know more about what that can look like. We'll leave her website and her Instagram into the description for you. To spoil next week's episode, next week we're going to be talking with somebody about what a sales page should look like for you. So if you are in the middle of a launch or you want to launch a particular offer, what needs to go onto that sales page to be as effective as possible for you. So we'll get a little more specific next week, and I'm really excited for that one too. So this series is going to be incredible. We have a lot in store for you guys. If you have any questions, takeaways, or suggestions for us on what else you would like to see on the podcast, reach out to us on Instagram at Joe and Linden. We'd love to hear your thoughts and what you are enjoying from this, podcast, and what we can bring to you that is going to be even more impactful in your business. We care a lot about that. So please send us your ideas. We would love to hear them. And thanks for sticking around to the end. So you guys are awesome. You're awesome, Macey. Thanks so much for being here, and we will see you guys next time. Bye.